r/ask Reddit. Teachers of Reddit, what's your most NSFW story from your workplace? Had a kid in 2nd grade caught fingering a 2nd grade girl in the phys ed locker room after school. Apparently they were both from abusive families and they were victims of sexual abuse by their dads. Not the same dad obviously. That's the ducked up part. Both their dads were sexual abusing those kids and they coped by trying sexual stuff on each other at the age of 8. That's ducked up. Did the dads get arrested? No idea. Don't want to know either. Sometimes it's better to not know. All I know is that the kids were put in foster care soon after and they changed school. Some kids found the typing programming teacher on Grindr, catfished him. He sent multiple dong pics that he took on campus to the kids. Police had to get involved. It's sad how was he being catfished but still gonna be accused of offending because of those dipshit kids. Had a student run up to me and say that someone had been stabbed in the girls' room. Turns out that a 5th grader had started their period. She later got the talk when she got home. I walked out of class during a prep period to go upstairs to talk with another teacher. In the stairwell there was a female student blowing a male student. The worst thing was she didn't stop even after I yelled. Many things have happened at my school, but this is the only one I have personally witnessed. It's like they say, if someone walks in on you giving a blowjob and you stop, you are the weird one who was caught sucking dong. If someone walks in on you and you don't stop giving a BJ, they are the weird one for watching. I will take this a different direction. My first week of teaching had its ups and downs. I was teaching a pay class and had a new kindergarten class for the first time. A few minutes into class, a little 5-year-old boy raises his hand. Mr. Cow Tipper, I have a problem. My pee-pee is really hard right now and I don't know what to do. Holding in every ounce of laughter I had, I told him I was sorry and that we would talk about his problem in a few minutes. Not long after he raises his hand again. Yes, Caleb, don't worry, it's not a problem anymore. He tells me with the biggest smile on his face. Gotta love teaching elementary. Not me but the woman who taught across the hall from me. She was teaching a 9th grade math class and her classroom had those old-fashioned pencil sharpeners that attach to the wall and you turn the lever to sharpen your pencil. One of her students was sharpening her pencil every day during class and seemed to take a long time to do so because each time she would stand at the back of class sharpening her pencil for 2 minutes or so. After a week or so of this, the teacher went to ask if the student needed help sharpening her pencil. Turns out the girl was putting her vag up against the pencil sharpener and was using the vibrations to get off in the middle of math class. But how? My rooms that had those had them at like chest height. To be low enough for that would be super awkward for sharpening. Teacher here. Only the other day I had a student come and get me in the playground by holding my hand. They took me briskly to the bathroom and bent over and held onto their ankles. They said nothing but grunted a little. I knew what they wanted. They wanted me to wipe their bum because there was poo smeared everywhere. Duck my life. This girl took pictures of her dog eating peanut butter off of her vagina and then sent it to her boyfriend. He proceeded to share it with the whole school and then the teachers found out. I've told this story several times, but here goes. I was an occasional substitute teacher in the town where I went to college. The band director often requested me to come teach if she was out sick. Since I was a music major and could work with the kids on their parts, get in for a day, and my instructions were to break the kids up by section and have them practice their parts. I spent the next hour listening to a miasm of sounds from woodwinds, brass, strings, etc. but no drumming. If you don't know any drummers, they're always playing or banging on their laps, tables, steering wheels, etc. Curious me goes to investigate the drum room, and I walked in on the token female drummer flashing her breasts to the boys in exchange for money. I was a teacher 2010 to 2015. I was teaching high school at an all-girls school and there was this student teacher from a local university. He was 19 or 20. He was always being a jerk to this one senior at the school. I thought it a bit odd he was always focusing on her. Fast forward a few months and it was post-graduation. I was out at a local bar and look over and see them together there. A co-worker said they had been screwing for the past few months. I asked him how he knew. There was a smaller teacher's lounge in one of the wings of the school. as there weren't normal classes in that wing. It was not frequented and the setup wasn't as nice. He said he popped in there one day and she was down on her knees blowing him. He closed the door and walked away. Not long after, the student teacher found him in his class and asked him what he saw. My co-worker was a bit stunned and said he wasn't sure. The student teacher said that he should keep what he saw to himself, or the truth could get twisted against him. He implied the senior would state she was going down on my co-worker and not the student teacher. There were no cameras or anything in that area, so my co-worker decided to keep his mouth shut. Was volunteering in a kindergarten classroom, was going through some old papers and found a letter from one of the mothers to the teachers explaining a bathroom incident. It went something like this. Kinshiro was in the bathroom stall peeing in the toilet when another student climbed under the stall. Kinshiro got very nervous at the sight of the boy and lost control of his pee. He peed on the student's face because he was very scared. Please do not punish Kinshiro. Got asked what a tit wank was from a tiny nerdy 11-year-old boy whilst trying to teach him about safety on the internet. I told him it wasn't part of the syllabus and that it wasn't suitable to ask me. Home ec teacher asked a pregnant girl if she could get the placenta from her to eat, and that's about it, I think. My teachers weren't too wild by any means. I just don't wanna let this thread sink too far. LOL, not gonna believe this after this kinda blew up on me. I only just now remembered that the teacher that taught the problem kids, or slower kids, stole pornography from one of them and apparently just had a bunch in his desk that he'd hear about every so often. That's more in line with the post. Sorry, tacked it on here though, don't wanna post again for this. Not sure if this counts since I was just a volunteer teacher for the kindergarten section for Sunday school. This 5-year-old dropped his pants, took off his shitty diaper and gave it to me. I didn't realize it's possible for a 5-year-old to still not be potty trained. In high school, we had a beloved teacher and I am still friends with him to this day. However, he viewed taking attendance as a big waste of time, and his class was enjoyable, so kids rarely skipped it. So he'd just give the class a once-over and try to notice if anyone was missing, and sometimes kids would yell out that a kid was sick. Well, on this particular day, he marked everyone as present, including a kid that was not in class, as he was busy murdering his uncle. So the teacher had to go to court and say on the record that no, he is not providing an alibi for the student. He's just terrible at attendance. The administration really got on his ass about attendance after that, and he was good about it for a few years, and then he went back to his old ways, saying it's very unlikely I'll have another murder during my class. Had an autistic kid in our class, 2 teachers, myself included, who wasn't potty trained despite it being in a class level where he should have been. He shits himself. The other teacher is like TNT. Go get him changed and I'll keep the kids busy. I take him to the bathroom and go to grab his backup pants. The other teacher shrieks because one of the other students is pelting toys at her. I go to take care of that mess. Takes me all of 30 seconds. I come back to autistic boy and he has stripped himself and smeared his shit all over the walls, toilet, sink, himself. It's a shit tornado. I almost quit that day. Not a teacher but had this happen at my school. On a school-run community service trip to India, some girls, 16-yo, had sex with one of the leaders, 20-yo, to get him to buy them weed. Needless to say, none of them were involved with the school long after that. My mom is a preschool teacher and here's the best story I heard so far. There was this kid who bit everything. He chewed on toys, walls, teachers and of course other preschoolers. So one time a kid comes out of the bathroom that is in one corner of the class and his pants are down and of course his willy is hanging. The second my mom notices, the biting kid does too, but he's in the opposite corner of the class. He starts sprinting towards the boy and my mom does the same, but she being in her 50s is slower, but closer to the naked kid. She gets there just barely to grab the kid who's just standing there and takes him off the trajectory the biting kid is on with his mouth open and charging like a torpedo. If she didn't get there faster, the kid would probably be scarred for life. That living torpedo is probably around 10 right now and I heard he's normal now. The biter is gonna be on one of those Reddit threads one day talking about the most cringe-worthy thing from their childhood. This kinda isn't my story, but it's still good and NSFW. One time a kid was doing his visiting days at the school. We were a private school with kind of a history of admitting misfits, and during art class was seen by another kid masturbating under the table to completion, then wiping his ejaculate on his t-shirt. When the head of the middle school told his mom about it afterwards, she said, "Oh yeah, that's something he does when he's nervous." Needless to say, it was a hard pass from the admissions office. I have 2 minutes. The one that sticks out the most is the time my teaching partner and I were working after school. He went down to hall to use a bathroom and saw a line of high school boys coming from out of the girls' bathroom. He taps one on the shoulder and asks, "What's going on here?" Lo and behold, an honors student was in the girls' handicapped stall letting the boys' basketball team run train on her to get them pumped up for the state playoffs. Of course she was expelled, but was allowed to walk for graduation in May. Some people let their freak flags fly. This chick was 6 freak flags over Texas. Not me, but a coworker. Her first year teaching, she had a class of 12th grade students, and they were studying Beowulf. She gave a quiz, and one of the questions was basic vocabulary, asking for the definition of disembowel. When she handed them back, a student raised his hand and said that she'd marked Tommy correct when he said that it involved removing the head, but she'd marked his paper wrong. He said, "Well, if I gave Tommy head, I guess I have to give everyone head." Yeah. She was facing the chalkboard for a while because as soon as the words left her mouth, she knew what happened. Edited to show that she didn't face disciplinary action. She just couldn't face her students for a couple minutes. A buddy of mine is a teacher in Kentucky and tells this story proudly. A couple of years ago the senior class was doing their walkthrough for graduation. Usually after the walkthrough the seniors are allowed to go home early. Well, a guy and a gal decided to skip the walkthrough so that they could go out to their car and duck. Presumably while in the back seat, they decided to do anal and it led to the girl shitting all over the guy's car. By the time the walkthrough had finished, the seniors were headed out to their cars and the entire graduating class walked out to the guy and gal trying to hurriedly get dressed and clean up shit from the back of the car. My friend often jokes about what a shitty situation that was. Caught 2 students having sex on top of a slide on the playground after school. It was one of these slides with the covered waiting area at the top. Her face was sticking out of the front of it and his ass and feet were sticking out of the back. She saw us, another teacher and I, first and started screaming that she was stuck on the slide. He freaked out, banged his head on the inside and essentially tumbled back down the steps while trying to get his pants up. They were 5th graders BTW. I am a 7th/9th grade teacher. I'm only in my first year. Apparently an 8th grade student, 14 years old, was getting called a slut and other students were saying she was sleeping with 4 guys every week. She then stood up in my class, turned to the people harassing her, and yelled, "I've only ducked 2 guys this year, so shut up." Being a large man in his early 20s, I completely ignored the situation and just asked everyone to quiet down and get to work. It was very uncomfortable. A girl posted videos to Vine of her penetrating herself with a banana and a hairbrush. Kids quickly found out it was her and almost every campus around knew about it. She was deemed Banana Girl, and she graduated early to avoid bullying. Sad part is, she actually died in a car crash a few years later. My friend's teaching mentor was insane. She told crazy sex stories to him and a bunch of interns. Sent pictures of men in genital cuffs to co-workers. All kinds of bizarre stuff for any workplace, but definitely for someone who teaches 11-year-olds. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.